This is what our children need to be watching and listening to. Guys like you with that same messaging. You know, I'd like to say it's still the military writ large, notwithstanding Millie and some of these other guys and the messaging from them. But that's what I have my kids listen to. I don't want them listening to "you're weak, lean into your weaknesses, everyone's sick, everyone's depressed, everyone's near suicidal. You know, here's another poll to confirm all that. Here, go back on social media to make yourself feel better/worse." They need to be watching your Insta, Jocko's, all these guys who have been through about just grit and mental toughness, because it is a skill. Like you were saying, it's a skill and you have to practice it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what a lot of people don't. I love the fact when people read my book and they don't really know my story. What's out there is, hey, this guy got all shot up and he wrote that sign on the door and he's this tough SEAL. What they don't realize is there's a huge part of the story that most people don't know until they read my book. And that's that I failed as a young leader. And I'll be honest, it was that journey building myself back up against really hard odds that really built the overcome mindset and all the leadership things that I talk about today. And, you know, Megyn, you nailed it. Right now in this country, you know, I joke with people about, you know, we're still in the midst of a pandemic. And people will go, COVID? And I'm like, no, the pandemic is the victim mindset. There is a large swath of society that is being convinced you are a victim. You know, there are, you know, political leaders that want to convince you, regardless of your race, creed, color, demographic, gender persuasion, religion, religious affiliation. I don't care what it is. They want to convince you you're a victim and that there's no way you can save yourself. Only someone else have to save you, or oftentimes it's only the government can save you, which is scary and a dangerous thought in itself. Everything I teach on is on self-leadership. You have the power to drive forward and create change in your life. And it is the exact opposite of this victim mindset, but it is pervasive. It is pervasive across social media. It is pervasive oftentimes in the media. And we've got to break this. I mean, America was built on foundations of resilience and grit and self-leadership. You know, these individuals that came across here to this country and said, "Hey, we're gonna figure out how to overcome, and we're gonna figure out how to make our way." And right now, we're not there. Everything, even in the military, right now, there's this idea about individualism, and I believe in self-leadership, but you have to be part of something bigger. You know, a military unit is working together. It's a whole bunch of leaders who create this unified organism, if you will, that does incredible things. So fascinating to watch and a little sad. I hope that we can wake up. You know, there is, you know, I learned the hard way about individualism because when I got myself in trouble as a leader, it was about me. I was selfish and I was focused on me and I wasn't focused outward. And I think there's a lot of that going on in our country right now. You got to take care of yourself, but how does that impact? How do you set the example for your staff, your employees, your children, your spouse, your family, your community? You know, we need more leadership and we need more grit.
How do we even still have a military given this mindset amongst the Gen Zers? Do you think today's guys are coming into the military with this victim mentality and then it gets sort of beaten out of them? Or do you think it just naturally attracts the minority amongst that generation that doesn't have the victim mentality and that's what they're doing there?
I think there's still a lot of individuals that are coming in the military who have that grit and resilience and want to be part of specific units and certain things. I think the problem is there are parts of the military that are becoming a little bit of a social experiment. Like, hey, you know, I'm conservative, but I probably have a little more liberal views when it comes to social norms. Like, I don't care if you're gay, but in the military, there's no room for individualism. You're in the military. We all have to fight together. Race, creed, color, demographic, gender persuasion, none of that matters in the military. If you want to do that in your off time, that's fine. You can embrace that. But as a military, we are a unit that must work together. And there is not time or all of that's going to distract if we're so focused on a certain segment or demographic of society that we need to, I don't know, highlight or promote. Everybody in the military, when I was in, we all wore the same uniform. We didn't highlight anyone. And it was amazing to me. And just, the guys across the different platoons that I worked, they were different race, creeds. Some were religious, some were Christians, some were atheists. A few other religions that were out there, but it didn't matter. What mattered was our ability to execute the mission, and you could depend on that person. And I think the military deeply needs to get back to understanding that and understand that the purpose of the military is to protect our country, to protect and defend the United States of America, but which should be the same mission for any country that's out there. And it's not on highlighting whatever is going on in society out there. Those are political aims. The military should always be apolitical with a singularity of focus, which is to protect and defend our nation against, all enemies.
This is, you correct me if I'm wrong, but this is why the focus by Milley on having you guys learn about white rage, or Austin handing out candy to the troops is so problematic. It's not just a distraction from what you need to be focusing on, which I believe it is. It's divisive. It's kind of sending exactly the opposite of the message you need to ingrain in order to be an effective soldier, right? Or frogman. All the messaging is forget that stuff. That stuff is not relevant to us here.
No, 1,000%. And I mean, it's the same thing in the military as it's happening in our country. I've talked about this. A lot of political leaders are doing things that are just dividing us as a nation. And they want to focus on, specific segments of time. Slavery happened. It was a terrible thing. But there's no country in the past 250 years that has made more advances in trying to create equality. I mean, it has been a slow process, obviously, but there have been leaders who saw this is wrong. We need to fix this. And this idea suddenly that, these different initiatives that are out there, that focus on America was built on racism, I don't think this is true. We're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. And there's a lot of incredible things that have occurred. And when we start to talk about the level of success of the American dream, it has been all race, creed, and colors. It's been there are more millionaires in the world that have come out of the United States of America than any other nation on earth. And they're all race, creed, color, and genders. And there are some people that would try and say, well, white males are the majority. Well, maybe that's true right now, but instead of trying to create division, why are we not looking for ways, two wrongs don't make a right. To continue to create division, especially in the military, you're creating individuals now, you're creating a separation, you're creating a line of distrust, you're creating potentially even a level of hatred, which is not going to further that unity. It's all about culture. It's all about trust. It's all about respect for each other, that we are equal warriors that are trying to get out there and make something happen. And it should be the same in this country. So it's disheartening to me.
If you're like me, you're growing more and more concerned about the future. The market is all over the place. Inflation is at its highest level in 40 years. Interest rates are skyrocketing. Market experts not only predicting a recession, but using scary terms like economic hurricane. If you want to protect your future, consider the precious metal dealer, American Hartford Gold. They can show you how to protect your savings and retirement accounts by diversifying your portfolio with physical gold and silver. All it takes to get started is a short phone call, and they will have physical gold and silver delivered right to your door or inside your IRA or 401k. And they keep it simple. They are the highest rated firm in the country with an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and thousands of satisfied clients. And as an exclusive offer for my fans, if you call them right now, they're going to give you up to $1,500 of free silver and a free safe on qualifying orders. So don't wait. Call now. Call 866-518-2955. That's 866-518-2955, or text Megyn, that's Megyn, to 65532. Again, that's 866-518-2955, or text Megyn to 65532. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.